Good evening, everyone, and hope you are having a nice weekend. Today is May 11th, 2019, Saturday, and hope you are enjoying your time with your family and friends, watching the Warriors game, etc. I just wanted to send out a quick video about the market, because I've been getting bombarded. So after the last week we had a sell-off, big sell-off actually, and we had a big bearish move last week, which we were completely able to predict, using our financial astrology. So I've been getting bombarded with emails and text messages and things like that. People who are following me, asking me, this market topped yet? So where are we heading to? So where is this market heading to? So everybody wants to know that. And why do we see huge intraday volatility? If you have noticed, so these days, we get a big, huge reversals. This is like a 50, 60 points, right? And move, or like 30 to 50 points in ES. That's a big move, and 1% move up and down, so every single day, and recently, and now many people say that that's a sign of a topping market actually, so why do we see this intraday volatility, and how do we trade this effectively? So there are a lot of questions that we are getting, and the thing is that we have the answer, so using financial astrology, because financial astrology, many people just look for answers elsewhere, looking at the yield curve. Some people say that inflation, some people say that Chinese trade news, etc. So there are so many things that you need to look at, if you are looking at answers elsewhere, and then on top of it, you have you may be following some kind of indicators, and indicators are always lagging. There is no indicator out there that can predict. So where do we get the answer from? The answer is right there in financial astrology, folks. So and when you look at financial astrology, you first have to look at the people who have effectively used financial astrology. So mainly, W.D. Gann. Gann used to be a mathematician, lived from 1878 to 1955. Actually, he died in 1955. But the thing is that he used a lot of mathematical calculations, as you see in the background, right? And some templates, etc. And also was able to predict the market about 100 years ahead of his time. So he had predicted the market up to 2008, including the 2008 crash. So very effectively and very precisely too. He was the only person who predicted that the Great Depression, right? 1930. Great Depression, so he was able to precisely predict the date of Great Depression. He lived through that, and he used financial astrology. Mainly, he combined Western astronomy and Indian astrology, which is called the Vedic astrology. Okay, so I've been practicing Vedic astrology for several, at least for last couple of years, and before that, just like anybody else, so I've used technical indicators as well. Then I realized that, when the market is topping and bottoming, right, that the indicators are not very effective, because they tend to lag. So we want something that can be that we can use for prediction, and that's where I turned into financial astrology, and I'm so glad that it turned into financial astrology, with which I can predict. So it's with about 80 to 90% probability I'll be able to predict. Okay, now if you look at W.D. Gann, so how did he predict? So as I said that, this is like a hand, not like typed, right? It's a like a typewritten, right? And he prepared this financial table from starting from 1784 and all the way to 2008. You can see that this was published in March 13, 1934, right after the Great Depression, right? And there are a lot of things that you cannot read it clearly. He has kind of categorized the years, so, and he has prepared this based on, I don't know if you can see here, but I'll show you in the next slide. And so you can see that compiled by W.D. Gann, 1909. He had predicted from 1909 to 2800 years, ahead of his time, basically. Okay, and even though he died in 1955, but this still lived through. He was able to predict this 1987 crash and 2008 crash, etc. So how was he able to predict it? He was able to predict it with the help of Vedic astrology, and there is a cycle of 18.6 years, so 18.6 years is what he had predicted. Now I have revised this table, so I have kind of prepared another table, so starting from 1784, this is WD Gann's financial table. Now we can read this, right? You can see this A, right? So that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years or so. Extreme low stock prices, strikes, repression, despair, beginning of new business generation of 18.6 years, 4 years of rising stock prices and improving business market bear off, right? And things like that. Now, after that, we enter into a high stock prices, which is a good time basically. And then there is a panic. These are the latecomers. There's a panic buying coming in. People who are late to the party, right? And they were kind of got burnt here, and they want to join that. So you'll see a panic buying, okay, and then followed by a crash where you see low stock prices, okay, and then followed by high stock prices. People are bottom picking, right? And then they pick the bottom and then drive the stock prices up, okay. It goes to high stock prices, and then there is a period of time where you see again a panic buying and panic selling too, okay. That leads to low stock prices, okay, and that leads to very high stock prices. So eventually this is how the markets peak. Very high stock prices, most prosperous year, couple of years, basically most money in circulation, most speculation, okay, followed by a major crash. This is what has happened in 1930, 31. You can see that 1948, 50. Actually, that crash came in 1951 or so. Okay, and then there is another crash here, 1987. We had a crash, and you can see that 2006 through 2008 we had a crash as well. Followed by same as plus A, like this. Okay, strikes, unemployment, many prominent deaths, etc. So you can see that what has happened, right? If you kind of forgotten what happened in 2008. So this is how he was able to predict. Now there are a lot of people who have taken this information, extrapolated it, and you can see online, you will see tables like this, so there is a major flaw in this, okay, and this is like extended and adjusted, right? So it's extended from 1990. You can see that 2008, 2027, things like that, okay. So watch this, so it starts this, the top row here, right? It shows the heading, so header year basically, right? So if you go back and show these are all header years basically, okay. This is where the cycle starts, okay. So where is the cycle starting from? 18.6 years. So if you look at that, so so if you really look at, let me see if I can bring a browser here for, so it'll be much easier for explanation here. Let's see what's the cycle of Rahu. Okay. So you can see that Rahu, okay, you can see that Rahu is about 18 years of rotational cycle. Okay. Now Rahu is also called North Node. For Western astronomy, it's called North Node. And in Vedic astrology or Indian astrology, is called Rahu. Okay. Now this play a major role in the financial markets, folks. So even though we consider that in our solar system, sun is the most powerful element out there, right? So that's it's a star basically. All the planets revolve around sun. But as per Indian astrology, this guy is the most powerful thing. Okay, so Rahu, okay, because it creates a major, it can be either good or bad. So a lot of major events that happens coinciding with Rahu. So Rahu has got a cycle of 18.6 years basically. Okay, close to 19 years, 18, 19 years. And so if you look at any other planet, they don't have that kind of cycle. So if you look at Mars has got a 22 months cycle. So about 2 years, close to 2 years, right? And next one is Rahu, and Ketu basically. So they have about 18, 19 years. So that's what Gann has used here, and that's how he has come up with this table. And also he has adjusted it, and since it's an 18.6 years, right? So every 5 set of cycles he need to consider for a full cycle completion. And that's why you see that 1840, 1841, 1842 here. Okay. So if you look at this, as I said, that many people have extrapolated that information, right, and then come up with this table. But there is a major flaw in this one. So why is that? Because if you go back to this Gann's financial table, you see this, the cycle ending is, that's 18 years of cycle, right? That cycle ending is like 1803, and then when he started, 1804 is when the cycle ends. But he didn't start from 1804, he started from 1803. There's a rumor that the top row is the beginning of cycle, right? 1803. Okay, so if you look at it, It started from 1803, and then similarly the next cycle completed in 1823, but he started the basic the basis for the next cycle beginning as 1821, adjusted to that point 6 basically. Okay, so 1821. Okay, because he has considered Rahu cycle beginning close to zero degree. Okay, and I'll show you that, okay, in my software. So 0 degree, and that's when he has taken this and considered this. All these years, if you look at it, Rahu cycle has begun close to 0 degree. Okay, so that's how he has prepared this cycle. So there is a kind of a 1821. So next cycle started at 1821, and then this cycle, even though it entered at 1842, you can see that he has considered 1840 as a beginning of cycle. So there is a zigzag. If you notice this, there is a zigzag here, right? Okay, and that's what he has used as the beginning of the cycle. Okay, so if you go back to this table, you can see that there is no zigzag here. You see this 2008. Now it should have started 2007. According to that zigzag pattern, should have considered 2007 here, right? 2007 here. Uh, he didn't take that. He went with the 2008 here. Okay. So that's why that say that there's a major flaw here. So I have adjusted that and I have extended that. So basically I have started the cycle from here 2006, actually, not even 2007, 2006, because of that zigzag pattern, right? 2006 is what we should consider this as a beginning of cycle, 2006. So if you look at 2006 onwards and work our way down, if you look at this 2019, we are in 2019, right? You see this. Let's step back a little bit, and you can see that 2016 onwards we started seeing a panic buying. Right after election we saw panic buying. 2017, 2018 was the peak, right? And panic buying. Now panic buying, panic goes towards panic buying and panic selling. 2018 we saw panic selling as well. Okay, so remember that what happened from September through December, right? Then in 2019, this panic buying still continues. That's what we saw for the last few months. Okay. Then it says that we should see a low stock prices, which means that what? We should see a crash as well, right? We should see a bottom or a crash, okay, in 2019. Okay, so wait for that, and it's coming. Okay, and then followed by very high stock prices in 2020, 2021 we see very stock prices, and then there is a major crash coming up on 2022. Okay, so that's how the financial table, if you extrapolate that what Gann has done based on Rahu cycles, this is what you see. Okay, so this is what we should get. So now so if you look at it, the 2018, right, and we had a major crash, as I said, not a crash but a panic selling basically. So you can see that after the panic selling we started, the market bottomed on 26/12/2018. This is my software actually. So it says 26/12/2018. You can see that Rahu. So all these 9 planets are listed here, or below here. Okay, and then relationship here. Okay, and then you can see that Rahu gotten into Cancer at 2.551 degree. Remember that, as I said, that new cycle beginning, right? It's about like a close to zero, right? And so that's what we have here on 26/12. Okay, so if I go back to I can show you the market bottom that happened, right? So watch this. This is the date here. This is a Thinkorswim chart of SPX. Okay, daily chart. You can see that daily chart here. And so actually we, after that panic selling last year, we saw a bottom on 12/26. You can see that 12/26. Okay, so that's why I have pulled up that 26/12, right? December 26, okay, 2018. And Rahu was in Cancer and at 2 degree basically, right? 2 degree 51 minute and 44 seconds. Okay, and now when I check this, okay, uh, last time it has happened. Okay, so last time when Rahu was in like 2 degree 51 second, 51 minute 44 second, was back in 2000. Remember that dot-com bubble and burst. Okay, so if I go back to that, okay, so let me show you that last time it happened was right here. See that $2 degree 52 minute 33 second. That was 15/5 2000 is when it happened. Okay, 15/5 2000 is when it happened. So that is just before that dot-com crash. Okay, so if I go back to 2000, okay, if I go back to 2000, right here, sorry, right here, 2000, right, 2000, you can see that. See, if I scroll over, you can see that March, right, was the top, and then came down, went back up. That is, see that 516. You see that very precisely we got a swing high. See this? So my point is that every time, so instead of looking at new tariff and and Japanese yen and dollar strength and yield curve, etc., all we need to look at is just 9 things. That's it. Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, exactly what is going to happen. You can see that every time this swing low or a swing high, this is called swing high, this is called a swing low, right? Every time this has happened, there is a planetary movement that has happened. So you can see that I showed you from here, Rahu got into that 2 degree 52 minute 33 second on 15/5 2000. So if I go back to that chart again, okay, and pull up that, you can see that there is a swing high happen. So there is a little bit of sell off here, that just bottomed on 414 2000, and then it went up. Okay, and you can see a swing high here. Okay, and 516, you see that 516. Okay, 516. So that is when Rahu transitioned to Cancer at 2 degree 52 minute and some seconds, right? You can, so if you want to know what happened after that, okay, because the big thing about the planetary movement or financial astrology is that it's very easily predictable. Whatever has happened in the past is going to repeat. Okay, guaranteed. Okay, there is a 90%, I cannot say 100%, but there is an 80 to 90% probability that it's exactly what is going to happen. Okay, so if you look at what has happened since then, since that Rahu cycle began right here, right back in 2000, you can see what has happened. Okay, you can see that a little bit of test, you get a little bit of retest of that previous high, and then and a big crash here. Okay, so following into that, you can, that actual crash came in 2001. Remember that, that financial table that I showed, 2001 is when actually that crash happened. Okay, so since then, every time you can see an up and down, up and down, up and down swing. And by the way, we have little, this is one of the tools, and that one of the programmers made for me actually. So, and that also predicted that there is a bearish setup, and with the targets marked, and and that also predicted, okay, move down. So very clear, it was very clear that there is a crash that's going to come. Okay, so now you need to know when that is going to happen. Okay, it's important to know when that crash is going to happen, isn't it? And that is what we do in our trading room. So I precisely predict, based on this 9 planetary movements, I can very precisely predict when that crash is going to happen. Okay, each of these swing high and swing low can be predicted. That can be attributed to a planetary movement. Each of them, including these minor ones, has happened. I, even without verifying it with the software, I can tell you that this has happened because of a planetary movement. And you can, so if you just, if I keep observing that when is the next transition, planetary transition is going to happen, I can easily predict whether I am going to get a swing high or a swing low. Okay, so this is what is coming up. Okay, and now when it's going to happen, if you want to know more about it, and you can subscribe to my channel, and also this is what is going to lead us to the, like a 3 years from now, there is a major panic crash comes, right? And just like 2008, that we 2006 through 2008 that we saw, right? And that is what is going to happen. And remember that the property prices, all the property prices, if you look at Zillow, right, they all peaked in 2006, and then sometime around 2006, like summer onwards, we started seeing market coming down. Okay, but before that, we need to see a low stock prices in 2019. Okay, so when is that coming? And I have the dates for it. And if you are interested in, you can subscribe to my channel, and or send me an email, or call me up, or text me. Okay, I'll be able to offer you mentorship program, very precisely we'll be able to tell you when these moves are likely to happen. Okay, so if you want to have more information, call me up or send me an email, and I can give you the details of the mentorship program. Okay, but till then, just be careful, and the market is likely to get very volatile. So hope it makes sense, and enjoy the weekend, and looking forward to talking to you again soon.